don't, though. So challenge somebody to make me sound good.
That's my joke. Stop it. All right, here we go. 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. The U.S. Open is actually playing today for a change, so we're going to talk to Golf Channel's Gil Kapps right now. First of all, Gil, thanks so much for making time, man. We really appreciate you.
Hey, fellas, thanks once again for having me.
All right, so Gil, here's the question everybody's asking today. What are the conditions like at Oakmont? What's the expected forecast? Will they actually be able to play uninterrupted golf for the rest of the weekend?
It is a beautiful day today.
WTM at Mechanicsville, a Town Square media station.
This is Terry Nash, athletic director at Kapps.
A little bit of wind, which has given the fellas a little more of a challenge, I think. Usually when sometimes these fronts pass through, it's pretty nice, obviously right after they go. But a little breeze. But the forecast, as far as rain, there's none. No rain scheduled through the weekend. So fingers crossed, they should be able to finish 72 holes on time early Sunday evening. The one thing this does, though, however, it kind of bunches everything up, right? And we only had a couple hours of play yesterday. This is the first time since 2009 at Bethpage Black up there out on Long Island, in which the first round was delayed as many times as it was yesterday. But what happened at Bethpage? I'm curious to see if it happens here today and through the weekend. Is there was a real disparity in the two waves that go off. So the U.S. Open is a 2T start. So they have one wave in the morning that goes off and another wave in the afternoon if you're on schedule. Well, since yesterday was delayed, today the first wave was finishing up, but the second wave, the late early wave, as we say, is going to go out twice back to back. So basically, guys like Phil Mickelson, Jason Day are playing 36 holes today. And what we found in 2009 at Bethpage was there was a huge discrepancy in the scoring. In fact, I think if I recall correctly, Tiger Woods was the only guy in that early late wave who wound up finishing in the top 10 that year because conditions were so good after that rain, that late early wave took advantage of it. And so, we have some low scores out there already here this morning. I'm interested to see if that takes place today, and see if those guys, who didn't tee off there this morning and we're going to play 36, really get it rolling and take advantage of these softer conditions that almost 3 inches of rain have given the golf course.
So, Golf Channel's Gil Kapps with us right here on 104.5 The Team. Gil, so there's not a likely chance we'll see golf on Monday. They'll be able to finish up by Sunday.
Well, I didn't say that because because the U.S. Open, is the only one of the major championships who, if there's somebody tied for the lead after 72 holes, they go to an 18-hole playoff. And they've been very lucky. I think we've only had 2 18-hole playoffs since 1995. So we could still have golf on Monday, but hopefully not. I think we'll definitely get in 72 holes, it seems like, by Sunday evening.
What makes Oakmont such a difficult course?
Wow. It harkens back to the designer and the founder back in the early turn of last century, H.C. Phones, a Pittsburgh industrialist. And you guys will like this. I mean, here's a guy who made a lot of money, very successful in business, didn't take up the game till his late 40s, but kind of a Pittsburgh mentality. He thought the golf courses that he was playing were too easy. And so he decided he was going to build his own golf course and make it, one of the toughest golf courses in the world. So, it's very penal. I think most golf courses, when they're looking at it and they make little changes here and there and to make things easier for the player, give them options here and there. There are not a lot of options at Oakmont. It is, you have to hit it, down the fairway, you got to hit it on the green, and you got to somehow navigate these really tricky greens at Oakmont. That's, you said what makes it difficult. Like, everything makes it difficult when you have 210 bunkers and you have, rough that's almost 5 inches. But these greens at Oakmont have so much slope on them, several which actually go back to front severely, that's what makes this golf course. So that's the last line the fence for this golf course. And when you get green speeds running, so fast like they are here this week, upwards of 14 on the stimp meter, which is a device that they measure green speeds with. That's basically it's a stick you put a ball on and you raise it up and it rolls off and you see how far that ball runs out on flat terrain. A device that actually was invented here at Oakmont during the 1935 U.S. Open because the greens that year were so fast and so controversial. So, it's a complete test, complete examination, but the final test is on these greens here.
Gil Kapps of the Golf Channel helping us prepare and endure and learn from the U.S. Open at Oakmont. Gil, as a New Yorker, I have to try and make my stuff the coolest and the best. What's tougher, Oakmont or Bethpage Black?
Wow. A lot of it depends on the setup. I mean, Oakmont this week, the way it's set up with the rough, I would say for, now I know you guys are scratch golfers.
Yeah,
but
of
for
course.
A guy like myself,
I scratch a lot on the golf course.
Yeah.
But for a guy like myself, the toughness for an average golfer would be these greens here at Oakmont. The greens of Bethpage Black are fairly flat. They're pretty big. I mean, it's a brutal test, Bethpage tee to green. But once you get up on the greens, for an average golfer, I would say they'd be fairly manageable. Here, where for members in a private club, look, they keep these green speeds up all the time. This isn't, all of a sudden come next week when the public starts. I mean, when the members start playing again, it's not like the golf course becomes easy. It's this way here all the time, minus the higher rough. Where obviously at that stage, a public facility where you're trying to get around, tens of thousands of rounds each year, they cannot keep that golf course in the condition and the setup that they can. A private club like Oakmont, day after day.
Is there any player style that benefits more from playing on this type of course, Gil?
It'll benefit the player who shoots the lowest score Sunday night, and people say that, and I say it, and he ain't just down flipping, but it's these guys you have so many guys that are so good. I think it's whoever is comfortable with their game and whoever's on. I do think a couple of things about Oakmont and a U.S. Open in particular that the championship and the course favors. I think this week, we've seen the past couple of Opens here. It kind of favors the longer hitter. We had Angel Cabrera win in 2007. We had Ernie Els win in 1994. Guys can get the ball out there and have short irons, wedges in their hands to attack these greens. Because you're not going to greens as severe as these and as hard as these. You're not going to hit many of them hitting in longer clubs. So that's a big advantage, I think, for those kind of players. And the second thing is, I had this discussion with somebody else earlier this week. We were starting to talk about what is the hardest major to win, and you think about the U.S. Open, and you think about what it's maybe the hardest test of golf. But as far as hardest to win, I would say the U.S. Open for an elite player is the easiest of the four majors to win. And I say that just because of the mental aspect of this championship and the fact that so many guys, at the beginning of the week, find the golf course so tough and start complaining about the golf course. And those guys are just eliminating themselves right off the bat. Whereas those elite golfers, those guys who won majors and won lots of tournaments, know what it's like to close. I think they have the advantage, a big advantage at something like a U.S. Open and the Masters too a little bit. I mean, look, odds are right. You have a better chance of winning the Masters than the U.S. Open because there are only 95 players playing in the Masters, right, where there's 156 in the U.S. Open and the Open Championship and the PGA. But I think for a great player, and you look at who holds the record for most U.S. Open wins, right? It's Bobby Jones has 4, Jack Nicklaus has 4, Ben Hogan has 4, and a guy way back in the day named Willie Anderson also was able to get 4, and he was only playing against his brothers and about 5 other club pros. So those are some pretty big names who've taken advantage of these championships.
Gil Kapps, I mean, you're an encyclopedia of golf knowledge. The Golf Channel's Gil Kapps right here on 104.5 The Team. Gil, so who do we watch this weekend? Who do you think has the best chance of taking home the U.S. Open title?
Wow, that's that's always a loaded question. But I'll give a couple of names. Obviously, the first round of that in that early wave, you had some guys like a Lee Westwood who posted a pretty good score. You had in the afternoon wave, what we're looking at, and the guys that are playing 36. Dustin Johnson's in that wave, and not that I'm picking Dustin, but I just want to talk about him because he is the guy who kind of, when people start talking about favorites, his name kind of pops up there, and you wonder, Dustin, after the heartbreak last year, three-putting that 72nd green to finish one back of Jordan Spieth, and a guy who, up and down the range, I mean, everybody says it, he has the most talent of anybody in the game today, but he hasn't won a major yet. This would be a course, I think, that would set up really well for Dustin Johnson, and to see how he would handle the nerves coming down the stretch and make decisions when he's under the gun. That's the big question with Dustin, and if he can maybe get one of these under his belt, if he would have a lot more to fall later on. Kind of like a guy like Phil Mickelson. You guys remember it took Phil a long time, and Phil had some of those questions about his game until he finally won the 2004 Masters. I think he was 33, and I think Dustin is. I don't think he's 33 yet. I think he's early 30s, 31 or 32. So he's kind of right there in that age range, and to see if he can go ahead and get one. But he would be kind of on the top of that list of guys to look for, along with any of those guys. Really, the top 10 in the world who can get it going and put it together to win this championship.
Gil Kapps of the Golf Channel, and pretty much anywhere you're looking for golf knowledge, you're going to see Gil Kapps' name right next to it, joining us, helping us prepare for the U.S. Open as it goes on today and the rest of the weekend. Gil, thank you so much for your time, and we love hearing from you.
Gentlemen, thank you as always, and enjoy your weekend.
You too, sir.
Thanks, Gil.